Hi, my name is Richard Close, CEO of Chrysalis Campaign. Our mission is to provide positive transformational learning programs. This topic is collaborative learning and sustainability for the Sustainable Development Goals for the United Nations. Is explosive growth possible and sustainable? My thing is yes, but the strategy is learning inside the development process to create zero-waste learning. For this, I'd like to give a couple of cases of global, highly sustainable and cultural change learnings. One is in the 1800s, the U.S. was a poor country. We were in a state of wars, aiding states. Brits ruled the seas. They had huge shipping competitors. We had lack of control of supply and demand, very much the state of Africa is right now. And of course, there was a poor perception of who we are. But yet, independence created a freedom to create. So with this, our shipping people put together a new design of boat. And that boat looks like this, appropriately called the American. James and George Sears put this out, raced across the Atlantic, broke the transcontinental speed record, sat in the British harbor for a month, humiliating him. And when the race was eventually done between the Brits' fastest boat and the Americans' fastest boat, even with problems with anchors and breaking a jib, the America's boat was 18 minutes ahead of them at the end of the race. This changed the perception of the whole world of America as a place for creativity, change, independence, and basically a technology-based country which resides all the way to our shot to moon and going on. But democracy created not a top-down, but a democracy-based educational system built that. In technology, you saw this repeat itself later on. In 1974, IBM dominated the computer processing market in the United States. It used SNA, Systems Network Architecture, and from there, the headquarters ICT director had top-down control of the entire institution. You had control of store and forward, all information. You controlled the processes of the company. In addition, IBM also had control of all the departments, workstations, and suppliers. So desktop hardware, desktop software, office printing. We even blocked communication to the outside world. Now, this does have a relevance to what we're doing internationally in terms of education. In 1982, Intel comes out with the PC. PC with the 286 chip came something new. Novell, and in 1987, Ray Nordic came up with the concept of co-opetition, realized it couldn't beat IBM at its own hierarchical game. So instead, 40,000 VARs from around the world were united, and the results were staggering. Microsoft came into the market in 1993, but IBM lost complete control of desktop and the small business market. Desktop PC hardware went to other vendors, software tools, Microsoft Office. IBM DisplayWrite at one time was the leading word processing package in a PC, and now it's completely gone. Desktop communications went to Cisco, spreadsheets went out to Lotus, desktop printers went to HP, internet communications. People all of a sudden started communicating with using AOL between companies, and companies had to scramble with ways to unite their internal mail with external mail. And of course, desktop applications quickens. Now, what's really profound about this is a colonial hierarchical way of distributing information and learning was shattered by a democratic process. Things like accounting software was only for major corporations. Quicken brought it to the small business and allowing proliferation and change to take place. Now, here's our key lesson behind all of this. In this migration, of which I was a part of, all of this was done by private industry, pretty much. Private training companies, there were 253 at a time. In a trade organization, we all worked together. Distance learning, regional conferences, national conferences, user groups, CBT learning, certification testing, online support CDs, technical. All of these different things, interestingly enough, were a bypass learning of academia. And academia was very, very slow to catch on, and still is slow to catch on to this day. So now there are hundreds of these certifications that are offered, that are valued to people's careers. But the interesting thing is the certification is done while the person is training within the career. And so there's zero waste in doing it this way. Now it comes back with a great debate, and I'll bring it down to what we're looking at in terms of Africa and other countries. The concept of doing subject-based learning all these subjects in one day, graduating and finding a job and all of them applying together, is highly inefficient. This was brought up by Lindemen, great book called The Meaning of Adult Learning in 1927, a friend of Dewey. But the key thing is this is unbelievably inefficient. Situational based learning, which is like apprenticeship on the other hand, everything I'm learning in terms of science, technology, math, culture, history, whatever, is absolutely relevant to the thing that I'm learning at that moment. Again, zero waste, zero cost. Now, so what we're left is a battle. We have a battle between index classroom training, which is subject-based, versus global search learning. Most of our learning that we do, I think anybody here that's in front of me would agree, is through the internet now. We search for what we learn in particular. So I was challenged. Search learning was a phrase I coined back in 1998. I was challenged to come back with this and come up with a new program. Basically, I looked at how we learn, period. Forget technology. Start with a problem. I go and I discover, I look for an answer to that particular thing. I may choose the answer I want to do, and then I'll do it with other people. As Lindemen said and Dewey said, learning is a social process. And then I share. Now, what happens when we do this on the internet, interestingly enough, is the moment I collaborate, I start altering the knowledge base of the world. I also change personally, and I do global change at the same time. So the world is transparent. There is no longer this index-based textbook, but there is this global knowledge base we all share it. Perhaps if we want massively scalable things, we have to take a look at this in bypassing some of the traditional methodologies we use. This is something I coined as the Global Learning Framework, and it's fairly well published. Now, the thing that's happening here that's interesting, let's talk about scalability and sustainability. The moment I go through one of these micro-learning paths, I'm automatically touching many other people's. So let's say I'm talking about drip irrigation in Zambia. I watch something on drip irrigation in Zambia, but I'm in northern Sudan, and I have to show that I can't put it up with sticks, but I have to put the bucket up in walls. They see another version of it, and it goes up on YouTube, so on and so forth. The key thing about this is everything is localized, something that's very difficult to do from a set of textbooks being produced in the UK or the US. So when a class starts, you're deep in the world of fluid change. Now, we think that there's two solutions to that. One, there's a physical solution. One is working under a concept of distributive intelligence. This means trusting in the people that are there and the body of knowledge they have and allowing them to suck the information they need out of us. So we need to integrate learning with industrial development. So we train people. So we make small companies, we make microfinance, small companies, medium-sized companies, medium, big. And we do that by training them from the inside out, not by an institution that's outside of that world. And we use many different formats, the same way we watch the Novell and the Microsoft thing explode. Conferences, workshop, and everything's localized. Now, the second version is the cyber version. As we facilitate this distributive intelligence by social networks, Google search, web publishing, YouTube channels. And many countries have already done this. Nigeria has an excellent website, for instance, for fisheries and aqua farming. But we need to share those intelligences between countries. We need to integrate the learning process with the vendors. The same way Jefferson did for the early American agricultural fairs, where industry and people would get together once a year to trade ideas. So our approach to all of this at this point is to bring this into an inter-country learning system. We have this proposal out right now, a variety of people looking at it, and this is to integrate the cyber aspects along with the physical workshop access, giving people a place where they can collaborate together at a near free, if not free, learning model. And that is basically our approach. Here's my website and contact information.